course, wow. I mean, talking about that game, Nerchio just played it so well.
Yeah.
He was up at like 60 drones. He could have just made units from there and been able to hold off the aggression of Feast, but he's like, no, I'm actually going to make like 75 drones, and then I'll start making units. That's how confident he was in that situation.
Absolutely, guys. I'm Kibbles.TitaN with Gwyn. We're going to run to a quick commercial break. Thanks for tuning in thus far to the One Nation of Gamers. We'll be back in just 30 seconds.
Live again. All right, guys, this is Gwyn. With me, of course, is Kibbles, and we're gonna go into the next game here between Nerchio and Feast. Nerchio, of course, taking that first game with amazing play. That is insane.
Yeah, it was
played that so well.
Phenomenal. His ability to deal with that pressure. Got the Hydra Den, which, I mean, is just the exact tech route you want to have against that 8-gate style of play. And ultimately, he also had the macro hatch, which made a world of a difference. Something that we didn't discuss is, the later macro hatch that really allowed him to ramp up that production, get rid of those minerals, and ultimately win that game.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing to note about that macro hatch, if you're going to go Hydra Ling, you actually don't have enough larva off 3 hatch when you have 3 saturated bases. So that macro hatch essential to be able to keep up with the production, have enough lings to get the surround on the units, do the damage to buffer for those Hydras, because of course, Hydras are so weak. Like they just... All right, guys, this is Gwyn. With me, of course, is Kibbles. Super fast. And that is kind of what happened. So... yeah, him staying up with that. Guys, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the One Nation of Gamers for those of you who might not know. It's just a, kind of a collection of bar crafts across the nation, and the idea is that, you make money in a bar craft, and the way you do that, of course, is by, the restaurant that you have the bar craft at will give a percentage, of the money that people spend to your organization. So ONOG makes its money that way, but they pour it all straight back into the community, of course, and run tournaments like this. So, I mean, this is a $5,000 invitational tournament. That's a lot of money to be putting out.
It absolutely is. I mean, if we think back to last year's MLG, first place prize, $5,000.
Oh, yeah.
Lone Star Flash, $10,000 in total prize pool. So, I mean, $5,000 is no scoff of a joke when it comes to StarCraft 2. In fact, it's quite a hefty sum of money.
Yeah, but it's absolutely fantastic. Now, guys, if you are in an area that has a barcraft, and listing off some of those locations, that would be Washington, D.C., New York City, Baltimore, Atlanta, Richmond, Irvine, California, Chicago, Dallas, San Francisco, and even in Berlin and Germany. If you go to one of those ONOG barcrafts, A, it's free, so you get to watch MLG for free the entire time. Secondly, which is super, super cool, they give away Razer products at their barcrafts. And sometimes, obviously, you raffle off the Razer products. You could also win free coaching lessons from pro players. So there is so much cool stuff going on. Make sure to follow them on Twitter at ONOG Esports. I'm sorry, ONOG_Esports, and like them on Facebook. That is facebook.com/One Nation of Gamers. And they do have a website, onenationofgamers.com. Check that out for upcoming events and all that awesome stuff. But without further ado, I think we're going to be jumping into this next game. Are you ready with me?
Yes, I am, sir. You give me the countdown, and I'll hit the P button.
All right, we'll be starting
wait, no,
then.
I'll have to click. My P's broken on my keyboard.
Oh man, that must be hard. Make probes without P.
You should. Yeah. Luckily, I don't play Protoss.
Oh, okay.
This is too many P's
you don't
for me,
use
man.
the Brood War hotkeys.
No, I have the most atrocious hotkey layout you've ever seen. But I love it.
You'll have to tell me about it sometime.
I will. Let's do it, sir.
All right, starting then in 3, 2, and 1. And jumping onto this game so all of you fine viewers can see, in the blue playing the Protoss, we do have Mill.Feast.
His opponent spawning in the bottom left-hand corner here on Antigua Shipyard is Acer.Nerchio.
So, of course...
Last game, Nerchio was looking pretty disgusting there, Gwen.
Oh, yeah. He played it off so well last game. It was just fantastic play. Now, I realize that the colors on Starboard are actually incorrect, so let me go ahead and try and fix that. Oh, there we go. Beautiful.
Starboard is quite beautiful when the colors are red.
Yeah, it looks so good, and of course, we've got our own little custom one for the One Nation of Gamers.
Oh, yeah, man.
Looks good. We do see the pylon on the low ground once again for Feast, so opting to go for that Forge Fast Expand once again. It's super standard. Not surprised to see that out of him. But he's actually scouting. I mean, this looks like this is the MLG version of the map, which is Force Cross only. Feast doesn't look like he knows this. So he's scouting in the wrong direction first.
Perhaps playing a little bit too much on that ladder as of late. And not enough in tournaments where the MLG versions are mostly utilized. Either the MLG or GSL, they're both identical, having supply depots at the bottoms of the ramps and forcing cross positions. So, spawning pool going down here for Nerchio, playing the exact same safe style, that we saw in Game 1.
Yep.
Ultimately, what's Feast going to be opting for here? It looks like a Forge Fast Expand with a wall-off pretty set far back. That does make you quite vulnerable to some early game shenanigans from your Zerg opponent.
Not only that, but I mean, you can put the Forge obviously here, you can put the Gateway, that leaves that 1U space between the Nexus and the Gateway. So, I mean, yeah, we could have another Ling run by. Nerchio seemed to really like doing that in the last game. He even delayed putting down his natural for quite some time in order to get those 6 Lings out, as well as the Queen.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
When it makes it a little bit easier in the early game here for Feast, because having the Forge set further back makes it that your cannon is set further back, which makes it more difficult for Zerglings to run by your cannon because they have to run further. The cannon's not all the way up front, where if they make it to the front of the ramp in time, they're pretty much good. And you're able to more secure this Nexus all the way with how far set back it is. But as you run into later stages of the game, if there's any roach pressure or basically any sort of pressure, it can come up your ramp, and now you have to contend with it there, And look how big this natural is. It is so difficult to split ranged units with force fields, as opposed to if you have the cannon wall off towards the front. But I think overall a smart decision out of Feast, because Nerchio game 1. Game 2, if you're up 1, is typically where you see those early pool shenanigans.
You're definitely correct in that mindset. Now the cannon is going to finish up, but these Lings, I mean, there's 5 of them headed across the map. One is going to turn back to take that Xel'Naga tower in the middle. Actually, he's headed back toward the probe that I think got spotted by the Overlord. But these 5 Lings can just run right past this cannon. Like, he don't even care, man. He's going to lose like 1, maybe 2 Lings in this run by. And now he has 3 Lings in the base.
Yeah, it should take 2. As long as he focus fires. Good play. But yeah, he does have 3 Lings in his base, which, I mean, is definitely a frustrating experience to be undergoing. And I gotta say, Feast built his assimilators in his main, which makes this even more difficult. If you're gonna play risky like this, it's better to build your assimilators at your natural expansion, which is covered by a cannon. That way, if Lings do happen to get into your main, you can just simply run everything down and mine for your main instead. But if you were to try to do that now, you'd be completely oversaturated. Honestly, I think we just should have seen a probe come down to complete that wall off.
Yeah, I mean, if the wall-off was completed, it would be a lot harder for those Lings to run in. They'd have to take the long route around the Nexus, and that means more of them would die. He probably would have lost all but 1 in that sort of situation. But right now, he's actually picking off the probes that are in gas, and that's so smart out of him. Because, I mean, if you can disrupt the gas mining, then your opponent doesn't have the gas to throw down those upgrades that they need. And a lot of the timings for Protoss are so specific. They're so, like, you got to get it, like, just right. You're like, oh man, I missed, like, a probe doing gas for, like, 4 trips. Well, my whole build is thrown off.
Yeah, I mean, Link's still doing damage right now.
Yep.
Ultimately, forcing, I mean, the amount of mining time that he's delaying here is really where the injury does lie. I mean, he's only killed 2 workers at this point.
Yep.
But the amount of mining time he's delayed is just so detrimental to Feast. Robotics facility going down now at the 6:30 mark. Did the Overlord manage to scout it? No, just out of his vision, actually. But a 3rd gas going to be dropped down as well, and at least Nerchio will see that timing. But
yeah, I mean, this is...
Nerchio just has so much information here. No Stalker, for example, has been made to fend off the Overlord.
4th gas as well out of Feast, so this is going to be some tech-heavy play out of him. And I mean, with the Robo down, I mean, if the Ling can get down there, he'll be able to see it. If it doesn't, you know, at least he sees the 4 gas and he goes, wait a minute, you're on 4 gas? It's only 7 minutes and 20 seconds. You're already on 4 gas. That is, that's a pretty big deal. You should know that there's going to be some fast Immortals coming out, or, you know, maybe some really quick Colossus off 2 base.
Nerchio's really trying to still pick off Links, but I'd love to see him run this Link down on the low ground to see that Robo, because as you said, the 4 gases should tell him that there's some sort of tech hidden here. Is he going to run down the ramp? Please run down the ramp.
Oh, yes,
see
he
that
does.
Robo. See that robotics facility. He does, and now he knows. I mean, he knows he can drone for quite a while here. If we take a look, he's up to 55. He's felt completely comfortable with just droning his face into the ground. And now, I mean, he's going to drone a little bit more. Gateways, you know, they got a nice long, 65-second build time. So that's going to ultimately cause Nerchio to feel comfortable for the next 40 to 60 seconds.
All right, and with that, guys, yeah, I mean, a ton of gateways going, 6 more gateways getting dropped. So this will be 7 gate plus